Joining us now from the Convention Center in downtown Washington, D.C. is VOA's reporter Peter Clottey, who is covering the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit with interviews from U.S. officials and African leaders. Peter, tell us who you have on who you've interviewed so far and what their remarks are about the summit that is just about to wrap up today.
Thank you very much, Esther, for having me on your show. Indeed, as you opened up with the introduction, I've spoken with quite a number of U.S. and African officials here at the grounds of the U.S. Africa Leadership Summit. I spoke with one U.S. official named Amy Holman, who revealed to VOA that former Assistant Secretary General for African Affairs, Johnny Carson, will be named as a special representative after the conclusion of this summit to follow up on all what has happened today. They don't want to leave any stone unturned. On the African side, they are excited that for the first time they are being listened to and they are being respected. That was the overarching theme of these some of these African leaders and government representatives that I've spoken with. On the other hand, the Millennium Challenge Corporation announced quite a sizable compact of some eligible countries, including Mauritania, Ivory Coast, Togo, and so on, that have qualified to participate in the Millennium Challenge Corporation and account.
And Peter, briefly tell us which presidents from the African continent that President Biden has been able to meet in person so far.
Well, he was able to meet the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Gabon, Liberia, Madagascar, and of course Nigeria. And the representatives of these countries that I have spoken with since yesterday and today have been very excited, including the Sierra Leonean foreign minister, who was also very excited about some of the meetings they have been having here, the bilateral agreements that they have chalked, and then some of the business opportunities that will come as a result of this summit. The Nigerians are very excited. The Congolese are very excited. I met the son of the Congo-Brazzaville's president, who is also a government official, very excited to be here, and they look up to the opportunities that this summit presents to them, the creation of jobs that will come as a result. So they seem to be very highly excited about the summit, and they look at the prospect of what comes up next. Esther.
Peter, thank you so much for your interviews and your excellent reporting. Peter Clottey for us at the venue of the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit. Still on the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit and what it may take to realize the full potential of the U.S. Africa partnership, VOA's Peter Clottey sat down with Ivor Ichikowitz, a South African businessman, founder and executive chairman of Paramount Group, to discuss the key areas of business this partnership should include.
I think that the U.S.-Africa relationship over many years has been somewhat problematic. The U.S. has been very much absent in the African environment, and part of the reason for that is that there's this perception in the United States that Africa is uninvestable, that the continent is complex, that it's difficult, that it's corrupt, that it's a highly problematic place for investment, and as a result the U.S. has been absent. During the Trump administration, there was a realization that China had stolen the march and was way ahead of America on the African continent. And there were some kind of ham-fisted attempts to correct that, but pretty much using bullying tactics. It was a case of the United States going to African governments and saying, if you're with the Chinese, then you're not with us. The Chinese have done a huge amount to grow and develop the continent, whether we like it or not. But they did so because the U.S. was absent. Now, the Biden administration seems to be realizing that. They seem to be addressing that, and they seem to be looking at investment in Africa, not just trade. And that's what we need to change the dynamic of the relationship, number one. And number two, to significantly increase the benefits for the United States in Africa and the benefits for Africa from the United States. We mustn't forget that by 2050, Africa is going to have the biggest youth population of any continent in the world.